This video is going to be a film study look at how Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Todd Monken and the Ravens offensive staff set the tone in Saturday night's wildcard win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Second win in a row over the Steelers, eliminating them from the playoffs, pushes the Ravens into a divisional matchup. We know the opponent now. It's the Buffalo Bills on the road next Sunday night. I'm going to focus on the first possession here because I think it illustrates perfectly how Lamar Jackson and this offense can switch modes, how they can go from heavy personnel run groupings or the option game or under center I formation stuff to a wildcat play that Todd Monken dropped in at the perfect moment, if you ask me, against the Steelers defense that really did not come in prepared. There's a lot to say about the Steelers defense, and I want to caution myself to going too far because there's just markers on film that looks like this is a team and a defense that, at least in the first half, came in with no plan for how to stop certain concepts. And even when they did have a plan, because of how well trained, how well coached Lamar is in the option game, we were able to adjust. And I'm going to digress in this video and skip forward to the final touchdown by Derrick Henry because it's linked to one of the plays on this first possession. I thought it was a brilliant drive, capped, of course, by Lamar Jackson's 15-yard touchdown to Rashad Bateman. Let's get to the film, and we'll go through pretty much every play on the drive. I'll skip a couple of inconsequential gains on the ground. So this is going to be the first play of the game, and it's 21 personnel. So we got Ricard on the field with Andrews. We're just going with a split zone, essentially a jet dive concept. Nobody gets to the mic. So I'm calling Patrick Queen the mic here, and there'll be a lot to say about his play on this first possession. Nobody gets to him at all. Falele combos up to either the backside safety or no one, and Queen is right in front of his face, and he is able to fold inside, make first contact. Elandon Roberts is also there as well because Pat Ricard doesn't do a good job of dealing with him. I don't know of a run concept that works if you don't block the mic, if you pretty much leave him unblocked. I mean, split backs dive option is one of them, but there's the combos. There's the way it works from Linderbaum and Falele perspective. Ricard works up to Landon Roberts, the fantastic run defender as an inside linebacker for them. And you can see Queen is absolutely free to match Henry's path, holds him to a 3-yard gain. Additional to that, something you're going to see multiple times in the film for not just this drive, but throughout the game, is when we're not reading TJ Watt, we're occupying him with someone. And in this case, it's essentially a split zone concept. A couple of variations of that. Not really want to digress there, but this is a kick out block by Andrews, and we're going low on him, making Watt go to the high side. So he cannot play a factor in this run concept at all. Again, it only goes down for a 3-yard gain. We had a penalty, and so pushes us back. It becomes a 2nd and 11. This is a neat play call. This is the first time we went jumbo 23, and I'm going to do a video about that personnel grouping in this formation. I call it wing eye closed. Now, Ricard is offset here, so he's away from the tight end wing, which would be considered the strong side. But you've got, the cool thing about this is you've got a 6th offensive lineman, in the case of Jones, to the opposite side of the tight end wing. And the first time we showed this to him, we went play action. This is a familiar concept. I mean, essentially this is snag smash for the Ravens, which we run out of multiple personnel groupings, except it's play action. So Ricard out into the flats. Andrews is the guy running kind of like a corner route, smash concept, if you will. And then Likely's going to kind of sit down and then does a great job of finding an open window almost up near the top of the numbers. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I mean. It's play action, 2nd and 11. Cool concept, if you ask me, for us to run out of a different personnel grouping and give the Steelers this look early to basically see how they're going to line up. It's a really nice job by Likely, who's spot shadowed here, to create an open lane for Lamar. My apologies, I identified it as Andrews. It's Kolar on the release, essentially running the smash concept. Play action. Henry's trying to deal with the outside linebacker. I think it's Highsmith. And then you can see Likely. There's the window. Nothing for Lamar right now. Roberts is backing up. He looks a little sluggish in pass coverage. I would like to take a look in the offseason at him. He looks like a really good player against the run. Couple of pass drops in the game. He almost reminds me of Mark Robinson, I think, who was a 7th-round draft pick of theirs 2 or 3 years ago. Played a fantastic game late in the season 2022 against the Ravens. Really good against the run, not so much against the pass. And the reason why I bring that up is because Patrick Queen had real problems on this first possession. I'm going to have a lot to say about that and as it relates to their coaching staff as we get through this video. This is going to be a long one, so my apologies for that. At this point, with so much to do this week from a film study standpoint, I feel like rather than cutting things up into smaller videos, I'm going to give you a big piece of content, and you're welcome to chew through it as you wish. So that completion likely creates a 3rd and 2, and here's where we're going to digress here. This is the same formation, same play as Henry's 45-yard touchdown run in the 3rd quarter. There's the read man, Highsmith. Lamar keeps it around the edge. Fitzpatrick fills quickly. Lamar jukes him, and then it's T.J. Watt going underneath Rosengarten. Like, how does T.J. Watt end up over here on an option play that's away from him? Even though he's playing, probably injured, I'd say 80, 85%. Guy had great pursuit. Highsmith tackling or making contact with the running back. Lamar gets a keep read. Well, talk about the formation for a moment and Highsmith's alignment. Look at what Highsmith does. He lines up outside of Andrews initially and then stems down inside. Peyton Wilson is the problem here, if you ask me, because Highsmith is forcing a keep read by Lamar, and Peyton Wilson ends up engaged with the left tackle. He should be scraping over the top to try to get Lamar Jackson, at least as the way I understand it. I have no idea about their calls or anything like that. So here's Highsmith and Andrews. Watch Highsmith tighten up, basically screw down his alignment. So this is what makes that final touchdown run by Henry so unique and interesting, is that we have seen this exact same look. Trips closed A, one of my favorite formations. I've done a couple of videos on it. Maybe I'll link one up in the description if you're interested. I'm going to talk about this play and this concept, and we're going to revert back to some historical stuff from the standpoint of this season. First time I remember seeing it is against the Cowboys. So Flowers is going to motion through, and you do have a corner and a DB safety. It's trips closed A with Henry and Andrews on the same side. The defensive end, the rookie Marshall Nealand, is head up on Andrews. We arc release it so he doesn't block down on the defender. Essentially arc release, outside release to get up to the corner. It's a give to Henry, who turns it into a 12-yard gain, which is pretty ridiculous. I'm going to give you the end zone angle. So basically I'm showing you that because the ball is on the left hash, there's trips to the field. It forces the defense to over-account for all of these receivers in this direction, number one. Number two, it allows Lamar to be a run threat into the boundary. And essentially, you cannot be right. There they force a give read. Henry's always going to find the open space. He's got great vision, great cut ability. Same play from the end zone angle. We'll give you a couple of other iterations of it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is we've seen teams play this in different ways. And so as it relates to Henry's touchdown in the 3rd quarter, that was an easy adjustment, in my opinion. Now, looking back at I think I found 16 iterations of trips closed A where there was a mesh. There wasn't always a handoff, to be honest with you. My apologies. Let me get back to the touchdown run. So this is Henry's 45-yard touchdown run. Like I said, in the 3rd quarter, the Steelers have cut it to 21-7. Yes, we're focusing on the first possession, but I wanted to come back to this. Same read. Highsmith is up top. He's the read man. Henry, Andrews on the same side. The only difference is now we've put Andrews in kind of this jet alignment, which makes this an even better job of him taking Highsmith down. They knew this was coming. This is the same look that we got on the first possession, the play that I already showed you, which to me just illustrates how well trained we are and how prepared the staff was to adjust and adapt to whatever the Steelers did. Meaning, we saw this look on the first possession, and I think there's an element that is check, okay, we got something. And in this case, there's no panic in Andrews as Highsmith screws down. Like I said, he's in a jet alignment, so he's not in a three-point stance. He's got to situate his feet really quick and then fight to take Highsmith down. Henry winds it off over the top, basically one gap wider. It's a beautiful job, if you ask me, of countering what the defense had shown earlier in the game. And again, I know that I moved away from the first possession, so my apologies for that. But I don't know if people are interested in those type of things, but I just like to try to show maybe why we were able to adapt so quickly, because that's been a foundational play for the Ravens this year that they really don't use enough, in my opinion. I'd like to see it 3, 4, 5 times a game. It seems like Monken has about 6 concepts like that you could use more often. It's a really diverse offense. Skipping forward 2 plays, this is 2nd and 9, another option by Lamar, and man, we have just put them in tremendous conflict at the inside linebacker position. So we go trips, and Justice Hill motions across. We're reading TJ Watt, who tackles the running back. Like, that's the way I was taught how to play the option or how to teach it. Like, if you're assigned to a particular phase of the option, we're going to hit you, we're going to tackle you, so that you as a player understand, hey, I've got to deal with or worry about getting collisioned or even tackled. Watch the way the inside linebackers deal with this. They were just so out of sync. Even Queen, like, is starting to move and then doesn't move because Wilson's going over there. Presumably they've got a man call in, so Wilson has to go with him. And then Queen and Wilson both go with the back, leaving no one on Lamar at all. It's a 2nd and 9. Could have been a bigger gain. I mean, Wilson's a quick dude. I think he's going to be a really good football player, to be honest with you. He's still able to get back over here and make first contact along with, I think, Fitzpatrick. That was a really nice play design. The motion by Hill and then running him back across Lamar's face. So we've gone straight option on 2 consecutive plays, well, 2 of the last 3 plays, and then we come right back to it in a hurry up. It's a 3rd and 1. You know what's coming, I think, or at least you should, if you're the Steelers defense. And Watt, once again, takes the dive back, tackles Justice Hill, likely works up to Peyton Wilson, wards him off. Lamar makes the correct read. No defense against it, really, unless you're willing to roll. You've got to use this guy here to balance the numbers up. And then if you roll him up to the trip side where Lamar keeps it, then now what happens? Any potential run back to this side, there is no secondary support player. And with Derrick Henry, I think they were unwilling to allocate enough resources to stop the initial focus of the run concepts, because they understood if Derrick Henry breaks through the first or second and third level, it's pretty much over. Likely he's going to arc release here to get to the front side inside linebacker, and it really isolates the safety. So I'm talking about here, he gets to Peyton Wilson, and additional to that, you guys you don't really get a view of Andrews off screen here. I can go back to the all-22, but you can see Watt taking the running back, tackling him. Lamar gets the first down quite easily. He thinks he should have more yards. Let's go back to the all-22 real quick. So likely going to get Peyton Wilson. These 2, Andrews, and I think that is Miller, I believe. Working on number 1 and number 2. Just a numbers game is all it is right here. And if Lamar reads it correctly, it's unstoppable in a short yardage situation unless you roll that free safety up and create balanced numbers for yourself. So 21 personnel now out of the pistol. And guess what? We go with another option play. Likely really screws this up. We should get a one-on-one with the corner here. So there's the read man. Let's start there. It's a counter option scheme. The read man makes contact with Henry, doesn't tackle him like Watt did. And I don't think that's dirty, to be honest with you. Like, I've coached it before against option teams, and we were an option team, at least the school that I coached at and the staff previous to us, spectacular option people. And they spoke many times about, hey, the worst teams to face was guys that were going to tackle the dive, hit the quarterback, and hit the pitch man, regardless of how things ended up. I think that's the way you play the option. It's a cumulative effect. We've got to block 25 here. What do you think happens? Let's let the play flow through if we block 25. There's Henry and Lamar on the mesh. Lamar keeps it. Kind of a hesitation. Why? Well, because it's counter option, and the way it's not that this isn't possible, and teams do this, good offensive lines do this. You got a zero nose over top of Linderbaum. You would think he would block him, right? Well, because Falele's pulling, and so is Rosengarten, we've got the read man and the defensive tackle to deal with. We can't leave both of them unblocked. So the way we're trying to get this accomplished, Linderbaum back on the 3 technique, McCarry down on the nose tackle. It's not impossible. I mean, it's teams execute it all the time. But as a result, this 3 technique is able to kind of muddy things up for Lamar. I think that's what causes Lamar to hesitate here, because that 3 technique basically shouldn't be there. Why is he there? Because of the alignment. Because the alignment that the Steelers had, a 0, 3, 4-eye, whatever you want to call them. This is definitely a 4-eye right here. That is the reason why Lamar kind of hesitates here. Number 1. Number 2, I mean, man, if we deal with Deshaun Elliott, yeah, the corner's going to be coming up unblocked. He's not going to be back at that depth. We've got a great situation here. As it stands, only ends up being a 4-yard gain, likely, and Deshaun Elliott kind of get into things a little bit after the play. 2nd and 6, trips closed A again, but we're in pass mode this time. Andrews is over here, likely to the backside. I want to find trips closed A where the tight end, running back are on the same side. I want to find some film of that this year where likely is over there to the running back side and we run the option there. I'm not sure that there is one. I'd like to find one. In any case, it's 12 personnel on a 2nd and 6. And so the Steelers have matched with their nickel defense. I haven't really focused on Patrick Queen so far. I could. He's very lethargic in this game. I'm not saying that he should stop this pass play, but the activity level, yeah, he gets eyes out here on Andrews, but he still stays in the same place. And when you get the end zone angle, you see what I mean. He's like looking at Andrews and then looking back at the quarterback immediately. There just was nothing definitive. And you can even see that after the play, Fitzpatrick and him are talking. I don't know what's going on with that team at all. Nothing would surprise me in their offseason. Same play from the end zone angle. There's Queen. Like I said, I'm not saying that he should stop this. It appears to be some type of match zone concept where it becomes man at a certain depth. He's not on the running back. I mean, as soon as you see this running back, quarterback separate, I guess you got to worry about quarterback draw with Lamar back there, but no activity level at all that looks like the Patrick Queen that played for us in 2023. It's kind of tough film to watch, to be honest with you. I've in fact avoided commenting on it online on social media. So that one gives us a first down on a 2nd and 6. And here we get really funky and nasty against them. This is 11 personnel, ball on the left hash, and we have inverted the 11 personnel, meaning we've got 2 receivers into the boundary, tight end to the field. So they've responded with their nickel defender, Cam Sutton, into the boundary. So what that means is as we go in motion, as Bateman goes in motion, they're not going to roll down opposite of the motion. Now, I'm going to come back to that point in a moment, but we're running the option back to the side where we know there is no nickel defender. Because it's 11 personnel, we've got the motion response here. There's nothing to stop us in this gap. So what the Steelers used to do, not all the time, but particularly against pistol formations. When I say used to, I mean 2019, 2020, even a little bit of 2021. When we would go motion here, the backside safety would rock down and he would go through the B gap. So they were filling the exact gap that we run through here. Now, I'm not saying, oh, that's what they should have done or, why didn't they do that? My point is their reactions as a Steelers defense was not the same type of reactions against the option concepts that they showed in 2019 and 2020. And I can't avoid it any longer. I don't know what Patrick Queen is doing. And I have to say this, for those that talk about Mike Tomlin in these mythical manners or this mythical manner, you saw this as a coaching staff happening on the field. And nothing happened. So what I mean by nothing happened is you allowed it to continue. If you're not confronting it and dealing with it, you're coaching it. Meaning if you're allowing something like this, lack of effort, lack of tenacity and physicality to occur, and I'm talking about this right here, then it's no wonder why you end up with some of the behavioral situations they do. I understand that some Ravens fans won't like that analysis, and certainly Steelers fans won't if they're listening as well. It really brings me no joy to talk about Patrick Queen in that way, but his effort on this first drive, to come out on the first drive of a playoff game and 3 of his snaps in this drive, just this drive alone, I would say are zeros. And you don't take him off the field, that speaks volumes about their culture and what Mike Tomlin and his staff will tolerate. If you don't like that, I'm not sure what to tell you. It means you're not looking at the film, at least not in an honest manner. Very next play, after a 12-yard run by Henry, we recognized, hey, we're going to make them tackle him. And so we go Wildcat. 21 personnel. Lamar goes in motion across. Henry keeps it. A lot to say about this one. You've got another dereliction of duty at the inside linebacker level, if you ask me, from a collective standpoint, meaning their reaction. So Deshaun Elliott flowing across. Both inside linebackers stepping here. Queen is just not in the play at all. Really great design from a Ravens standpoint with Likely working backside. Remember what I said about Andrews coming to the backside to deal with Watt, hold him over there. It's the same thing that happens here. And Rosengarten does a nice job of blocking with his backside, I think on the D tackle. It's conceptually the same thing as the play that I just showed you. Motioning with Bateman, in this case Lamar, and then running back to the side we motioned from. And again, instead of the safety doing what the Steelers used to, which is downhill, go through the B gap, or it'd be C gap here because you got Ricard down on the bottom side for us, they're vacating entire second level of their defense. Compromised free safety back here against Wildcat. There really isn't much good to say about this Steelers defense. We are not going to see a defense by the Buffalo Bills this week with this lack of physicality, lack of preparedness on the first drive. Same play from the end zone angle. This is a huge moment. Henry just hit him for 12, and now here we are just saying, hey, we're going to line him up at Wildcat, make you tackle him. The element of Lamar motioning across to his right, he's a right-handed quarterback, is also quite obvious and needs to be mentioned. Another thing to talk about is, look, option teams, I've been around some, they oftentimes will invert the running back and quarterback during drill work. And so what I mean by that is ask their best running back, the pitch man, to go to fullback. Ask their best fullback to go to pitch man. Or take one of those guys, and we've done this before as a shotgun option team, and make them be the quarterback so they get to do the read. Now, there is no read here. Henry's not reading this with likely, but it at least presents the look that there could be a handoff to Lamar. And look at the reaction that we're getting. Complete lack of discipline and integrity at the second level, and Henry carves this up. Huge moment, along with the brutal stiff arm of Minkah Fitzpatrick. At this point, the multitude of techniques that have been, multitude of schemes and concepts that have been shown is amazing just on the first drive. I think it's one of Todd Monken's best first drives of the season. I know that we had 3 drives, I believe, of 80 yards or more in this game. This one set the tone, and we're going to finish it off here in a moment. This is a play action on the very next snap out of 21 personnel. So we're going to get Ricard out in the flats. The Steelers do a nice job on this. One thing I want to say is Bateman's running the same route here that he runs a little bit later for the touchdown. 2 plays later, 2 snaps later. In fact, I won't show you the second down run, so it'll look like the next play for you. But it's play action, and they're dropping out underneath. It looks like a cover 3, in the red zone. Mesh look here, and the guys are sitting down because they're reading zone. Nothing for Lamar to get done. We tried to cut T.J. Watt with Justice Hill, not able to get him to the ground. Additional to that, the D tackle does a great job of just swatting with the outside hand on Rosengarten to break his posture. So both of those guys are able to get in on Lamar. Nothing there to get accomplished. Fortunately, Lamar's able to get outside the pocket, throw it away, and live to fight another down. Bateman, like I said, running the same route that he runs on the touchdown. I skipped a second down run by Justice Hill. So, number one, this is the first time where we chipped with Andrews and Justice Hill at the same time. Number 2, it's going to be a dig late by Bateman. We'll let this flow through multiple times. I talked about this in a video that I put out Sunday during the games. I think I put it out just before the Bills game. So they're passing these routes off. So Wallace is crossing. Aguilar is crossing. And Cam Sutton is tasked with matching up with Aguilar. But because it's a 2 safety look, they're able to take Fitzpatrick and help out with Porter, and then this safety help out with Aguilar. So Sutton should be doing whatever they do scheme-wise if they're passing routes off. Basically, if they're falling off and allowing that underneath dropper to go. And in this case, he works too far in this direction. You can see Lamar is already working to get the ball out. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see that the window was large, but Sutton is on the left-hand portion of the window. And if he doesn't carry this far, he's got an opportunity to make a play on the ball. Here's Andrews and Justice Hill chipping on Highsmith and Watt to give Lamar a little bit more time. I know there's a lot of discussion about the depth of Lamar's drops. I'll get into that later on in the video, or in another video. But look at the window Lamar has as Sutton is obviously lagging off of Aguilar here, passing him off. Just goes too far outside the hash We used to use that as a landmark for anything that we were going to pass off like this in read or match coverages, essentially meaning it's not man. If he releases to the inside, you can pass him off to the other safety. Lamar with a brilliant throw to Rashad Bateman. I give the Steelers credit for the fact that they came back in the third quarter defensively and had a different mindset. Cam Hayward came out with his helmet in his hand and looked pissed off. They played better defense in the third quarter, clearly. TJ Watt looked more active. I didn't see much to praise or discuss about Patrick Queen at all. It really is disheartening to see a young person, player, athlete, play with such a lack of passion 1 year after doing so many unselfish and wonderful things for the Ravens defense. We're moving on. They've got some issues there in Pittsburgh. It's not a lot of fun to watch Patrick Queen play defense in this game. And as far as my statements about Tomlin and his coaching staff, I meant it, and I'll double down on it. If you think that that type of behavior on the field would be tolerated by anyone that's speaking right now, you're wrong. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you have an issue with effort, if you have an issue with pursuit and physicality, it has to be addressed immediately. And that means take the player off the field, confront them, discuss it with them, and then give them an opportunity to fix it. Send them back out there 1 or 2 plays later. It is reality that sitting on the bench or watching your teammates play and compete does solve some of those situations. Tomlin and his coaching staff, their unwillingness to address it during the game, he played 73 snaps. He was off the field for 1 snap. It was never addressed, and the play didn't get a whole lot better by Patrick Queen. We took advantage of some really a soft mentality by Pittsburgh's defense in the first half. Monken's play calling, his schemes, the design, the flow of the possession deserves credit. Henry and the offensive line, spectacular. 299 rushing yards against the Steelers, almost unheard of, if you ask me. A lot of it on option concepts. Lamar and Henry set the tone. I can't wait to get to the Bills film. I think at this point, I've got 4 games of their defensive film lined up. First of all, our game against them at home in Week 4, their win in Detroit against the Lions late in the season, and then their games against the Chiefs and the Patriots as well late in the season. Appreciate you guys' time, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. I understand this one went on a little bit long. I felt like the first drive was a huge statement made by Lamar, Derrick Henry, the offensive staff, Todd Monken especially, to the entirety of the Steelers defense and their coaching staff. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to focus on this run game, and you're going to have to stop it multiple times and tackle Derrick Henry. It's just no fun. I would look for Derrick Henry to get 20, 24 carries against the Bills this week, and probably they'll do a great job, I would say, early in the first quarter. In my opinion, just as an off-the-cuff observation about the Bills' defense, I would say they'll come out fired up to stop Derrick Henry, force us to go to some other options, and early in the game try to swarm him. It'll be Todd Monken and Lamar's job to use that as bait and try to capitalize on it or exploit their overreaction to it. In any case, this is my film study video about the Ravens' first possession where they went down the field and took a 7-0 lead and really took control against a Steelers defense that is playing quite poor at the end of the year. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at the Ravens' first possession and their wildcard win against the Steelers on Saturday, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.